So Jonny, just in terms of the professional game, can you just give us a few reflections on how the past season has gone, please?
Well, I think in many respects we have to see this season as a success. It's been pretty unusual for us going straight from the 1920 season into the 2021 season, but getting to that Pro 14 final and then carrying on into this coming season with a record that was 14 wins out of 16 in the domestic league, I think has seen us move forward and is really positive. I think coming out the back of a frustrating Challenge Cup loss across at Leicester, that proved quite difficult and through into the Rainbow Cup. But overall, I see it as progress, and I see it's something that we can build on going into what's now going to be the United Rugby Championship next year. We've got a really good squad. And I think there's a lot to build on and a lot to be proud of through there. We need to keep on top of things in terms of our recruitment and keeping that moving forward. And I think people will be understandably frustrated, as we were, with the situation with Leona Nakarawa not working out for us. But I'm confident that, in the first place, that was absolutely the right decision for us not to follow through with that in the end. But we also need to look at how we continue to bolster that squad, and I know there'll be expectation from people around that. I think what's important around that is that we don't jump into the marketplace and make sure that we do something that's right for us, and that might take us a little bit of time to get to the right answer around that. But we also need to understand as well that we've equally seen a lot of guys coming through who've performed to an extremely high level during the course of this year. And it shouldn't all be about who can we bring in, but how much more can we get out of the guys that we've already got. So there's a balance to be struck in there, and we'll make sure we get to the right answer and recruit accordingly over the course of the next few months should the opportunity arise for us. I think the other thing that it's really highlighted for us as well, and I think just coming back to that knockout loss against Leicester, which we were all enormously frustrated at in the Challenge Cup this year, was that we've, over the course of the past few years, we've been fortunate enough to put ourselves in the position of getting to knockout matches, be it a Pro 14 final, be it a European quarter final, or indeed a European semi-final, and we've not quite got to the point where we're winning these matches. And as much as we know that we physically have the talent and we've got a very capable group that's very well coached, we need to make sure that the mental capacity that is there as well, and from that point of view, that's where we're looking to invest in performance psychology as well, to make sure that the players not only get the best out of themselves physically, but get the best out of themselves mentally. And when we do get to these knockout matches, that we give ourselves the best chance of winning, frankly, anyway, which is where we need to get to demonstrate the progress that we know we can and we should be making at this stage. I think the last part of that as well is the sort of longer term sustainability of the professional game, and I think from that point of view we all understand and we all want to see more Ulster born and bred players coming through the system and representing Ulster at the senior level. And I think that's been really encouraging to see how that's moved forward over the course of the past couple of years. And we've got some tremendously exciting players coming through the system now and over the next few years with that in mind. But it's also really important that we think now about how we protect that and keep going on that theme and in that vein over the course of the next 5-10 years. And that's where it's really important that we invest in the pathway. And that's building on the good work that's been done in our academy, but that really needs to work from top to bottom within the game at all levels. And that's from the top of the professional game right down through the academy itself, where we can build on the good work that's been done by Kieran Campbell. And I'm really excited about the appointment of Gavin Hogg in that academy manager post in the first instance, who's come in over the course of the past month or so. But that equally works down into rugby development and how we link the whole thing up from top to bottom to get real integration across our pathway, in making sure that we're working with clubs and schools to ensure that we're getting the very best out of the players and coaches that we've already got in the system, but also that we're making sure that we get our talent identification programs as strong as they possibly can be. Looking across the whole of the province and outside of the existing system to make sure that we're catching and identifying talent coming through any available source. So we've got a lot that we're working on in that space to make sure that the future generation of Ulster players, both male and female, are coming through to represent Ulster at the senior level. I think just on that female game one, I would talk about, it's really exciting to understand that the Interpros are getting an opportunity to go ahead in August and to see the best of the women's game in Ulster getting the opportunity to play over the course of the next few months. But we do see both at participation level and within that pathway that there's a huge amount of growth to be had there in the women's game in the Ulster province. And we've felt it's important as well that at the same time as we're investing in the pathway to make sure we've got boys coming through and representing Ulster at the senior level, we do everything that we can to make sure that we're providing the support to the elite women's team, and also that we're making sure that we have a participation level for women's rugby that is as strong as it possibly can be within the province as well.
And Jonny, obviously things were different at Kingspan Stadium this year and for the past while. So how do you see things playing out then in the season ahead?
Yeah, it was very different, and I think I was really impressed actually to see how the players ultimately adapted to there not being any crowds here at the stadium, and how they kept their performance levels and the levels of intensity as high as they were. But I think it wasn't a huge amount of fun, and it wasn't a particularly great viewing experience for those of us that were lucky to get into the stadium. And I can't wait for crowds to be allowed back in come September time. And I think in the first place, where we are coming back into a league proposition that's different to what we to the one we finished off with, and it's really exciting that this has now become something in the United Rugby Championship, and that we've got the big four South African teams coming in, and I think that creates a huge amount of excitement about the league coming into the year. From that point of view, I think we are really hopeful about there being crowds back of a meaningful size when it gets round to September, when the league starts back up again. It's been really encouraging over the course of the past month or so, particularly to see the large-scale test events over in England being run successfully. And over the course of the next few months, I know as the GAA seasons and the football seasons develop here in Northern Ireland as well, that we'll be working closely with the other sports and with the Northern Ireland Executive to make sure that we're in line with restrictions, but also that we can find a way to get ourselves back to normality and get to the point where we can see the terraces and the stands come the new season packed here at the Kingspan Stadium again, which is what we all want, and that's the players, that's the staff, and that's what the supporters out there want to see as well. I know people, and obviously it's been great with our season tickets, where we've been able to get to the point of being able to launch renewals on that over the course of the past few weeks, and people have rightly been questioning around that, our decision around pricing. I think we've been very conscious of the fact that we want to make sure that the season tickets are always going to be the best value way in which you can watch Ulster play in a revised league proposition. But I'm very wary as well that in that league proposition, and in Europe as well this year, there will be a reduced number of matches. But we still feel what we set out is really fair, is great value. Will include any A matches and other fixtures that are here at the Kingspan, and will also include other ways in which we can give additional value to people that want to invest in a season ticket. And it's been really encouraging that people have chosen over the course of the past week or so to renew their season tickets in record numbers and at record rates, and that's been really encouraging to see. I'm looking forward to seeing all those people getting here over the course of the coming season when we get back to it in September. I think as part of that, it's important that, and I recognise, and I've seen that over the course of the past few years since I've been across here, quite what an institution Friday nights at Kingspan Stadium are, and we've worked hard with the league in setting out what will eventually be the fixture list when it comes to fruition over the course of the next few weeks. Will be the majority of our matches played on Friday nights here in Belfast, and getting back to this being the place to be in the Ulster province on a Friday night. I'm conscious as well where there's been various broadcast announcements over the course of the past few weeks as well, and we want to make sure that there's a big tradition around Ulster playing on a Friday night, and that's able to get viewed by as many people as possible, and I'm confident there'll be some good news to come on that over the course of the next few weeks as well. So all told, listen, it's been a very difficult season in many respects, but I'm really pleased with the performance of the professional group, and really excited about what's to come. And I'm just really hopeful that we'll get those crowds back, and I can't wait for seeing and feeling what that's going to be like when this place is absolutely bouncing for an Ulster match night again in the coming months.
So obviously quite a lot already going on there, Jonny, so really exciting to hear for the season ahead. But can you just give us a wee bit of an insight if there's anything else that's keeping you busy just at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very, very busy agenda, and things have been fluctuating on an almost daily basis, it feels like, over the course of the past year and a half. And I think everyone trying to take a little bit of time to reflect and a little bit of time to get a wee bit of space, both to get a break, but also to plan ahead for what's going to be another busy season over the course of the next few months, and into the autumn and winter when it comes around. I think I've already talked about the women's game and the importance of that, certainly at elite level. But there's a number of things in furthering investment in the women's game at participation level as well, that we'll be doing over the course of the next few months, and that's as part of a broader participation review, because we want to make sure at the same time as we're focusing on the professional game, that we've got a domestic game that has been struggling as well in around all the COVID restrictions, and we want to make sure that gets back on its feet, and that we've got a healthy domestic scene. And it's been really encouraging to see the activity that's been going on in clubs over the course of the past few weeks and months as restrictions have eased. And I've even made my debut at Bangor Rugby Club in the touch tournament up there, which my performance was questionable, but I think it's been really encouraging to see the desire that people have got to get back and participate in rugby in some shape or form. But male or female, we need to make sure that we find ways that rugby can be played that fits with people's lifestyles and adapts to a post-COVID environment. And I think that's where a lot of our work is focused on in the domestic game, both in creating innovative and fun summer programmes for people to take part in, but also making sure that we've got competitive formats of the game come the new season that people want to take part in and feel that they can identify with as we get activity back in clubs. There's also a huge amount of work that we're undertaking at the moment, just on beginning to look at the longer term, and particularly around facilities where we have needs here that we need to push on in respect of the offering here at the Kingspan Stadium, on our high performance facilities, but also in looking at our regional facilities, both for participation in the game, but at player development level, as we look to strengthen our pathway and our talent identification, as I talked about there to you before. But we also need to make sure that we find streams of funding that are applicable and that clubs can use to upgrade their own facilities. We want to make the domestic game more welcoming for anyone to go to and take part in. And we recognise the need across the game in Northern Ireland and the broader Ulster province to find ways in which we can help clubs with their own ambitious plans to upgrade their facilities, and we'll be doing that over the course of the next few months and talking to the Northern Ireland Executive about that. I think for me personally, where one of the things that I've reflected on over the course of the past year and a half, it doesn't feel like that really, but is that it's had to be really operational in the way that we've been doing things, moving from day to day, looking at our finances, looking at how restrictions have eased and then tightened, and now beginning to ease again, and that's been really difficult to start to have any sort of roadmap beyond the next few months. But we know that we now want to start to look beyond then at the next 3 to 5 years and what that looks like for rugby in the province here. and to start to look at setting out a really clear strategy for the development of the game, about how we want to be competitive and take ourselves forward at the professional end, and how we want to see the game flourish and grow at participation levels as well. So we've got an awful lot in respect to that roadmap and in respect to that longer term strategy that we will want to agree and then set out and talk about more publicly. So all told, it's been an incredibly busy agenda, and I have to confess I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of a break over the course of the next few weeks. But really coming back into this with a bit of renewed vigour and with a bit of freshness, and looking ahead to what I know is going to be a really challenging but also a really exciting season for the game at all levels across the province. And I can't wait to see people back on the fields, but at the same time here packing out the terraces and shouting for Ulster in a full Kingspan stadium.